So, there are a lot of different frameworks for, the research process that we could lean on. I've included a couple here that, maybe you use yourself or you're familiar with. And again, there are several others that we could bring in here. So we know that the Big Six is one process, and then the more simplified version, the Super Three, is another option. Just the guided inquiry design, where you see that process. And if I've linked these in here so that you could see a little bit more information, but it's kind of following the same model or idea of starting with a question, which you mentioned, students sometimes struggle with the question, like where to even launch from. So starting with a question and helping students, work on that skill, and then guiding them through, okay, well, now I have this question. What will I do next? And seeing it as like a kind of a cyclical process, right? That's why when we also think about innovative designer standard with the ISTE standards, like that design thinking process, research is very much a design thinking process. It falls under that criteria too, because it continues to go, all right, well, that didn't work for me. I didn't find anything with those keywords. So how will I, kind of adapt that and move forward? So those are just a couple of models. What I really wanted to share with you here and kind of open it up is Teach Britannica. So I've linked this in. Obviously, you can access this as well through our NCEA connected resources. But, teachers, they can just go to teachbritannica.com, or librarians. And I want you to just kind of explore what is already here that aligns so perfectly with these skills and this standard. So I'm going to open this up so we can take a look at this together. Whatever, this is the page that I came to. Whatever level you typically work with, whether that's elementary, middle, or high, I would encourage you to go into that level. I'm going to just work in the middle because that's in the middle. And so it brings us to a page that looks like this. So again, you can follow along with me, but even better, check out what's available for your level. On the Lesson Minis page, one thing that I hope that you will notice is that many of the lessons that they offer connect directly to, what we're looking at here for the Knowledge Constructor standard. So there are a couple of great lessons here on media literacy, which is a direct tie-in. But if you scroll down a little further, take a look at this, generating research questions for those kids that do struggle to get started. We also have a topic, effective searching, understanding sources and information, also taking notes and citing sources, organizing to present research. So if you are familiar with a research process, whether it's Big Six or a guided inquiry process or any other that you might be familiar with or love to use, all of these lessons that we just looked at here start at the beginning and basically walk students through and build in those skills, right? So I'm just going to open one as an example to give you an idea. And again, I would encourage you to take a look too. So when we open this up, it gives you a nice overview, ideas for implementation. So basically, we could use this or collaborate with any content area on this. It gives us some key vocabulary that we can work with. Authentic learning extensions. Wow. I don't even have to, I don't have to stretch my brain so much. They're doing all the stretching for me. So ideas for field trips or guest speakers or library exploration sessions. That sounds familiar. And then it kind of breaks it down into activities. So some of the lesson minis, they might have a series of 4 activities. This one has 2. And so it tells you everything you need, literally. The materials that I need. It links in any graphic organizers or things like that that the lesson might use. Shows me exactly what we have to do. Like it says, tell students this. So this, is a great support for a librarian or a teacher of any experience level. And then it also gives some really nice examples of how to differentiate, how to vary, how to do work collaboratively with someone else, which is, our specialty. So there's so much good stuff here. And what we see in the middle school level, it is closely mirrored at both the elementary and the high school level. If you go down to early elementary, so that's covering grades kindergarten to second grade, there's not as many of the research lessons for them, but there is some nice lessons that explore like things related to digital citizenship and things like that. But for grades 3 through 5, and then the middle school level and high school level, they all have lessons that cover this very, very well and the research process that students would use. So it's a great resource. And if you haven't explored it through that lens, there's so much there. Um, and then a couple of other things to note here, the graphic organizers. Even if you didn't want to go through the whole lesson that they have out here, you could just see a lot of the graphic organizers that they have that kind of support this too. So I'm just going to kind of scroll through. But a few that come to my mind are there's a See, Think, Wonder. There is a pre-research planner. I think they are in ABC order, if that helps you. But look at this one. This is a nice one. Compare sources. So as students are trying to determine, well, which of these information sources are best for me? Or, we could kind of adapt that and think about which database would be best for this. Or, I could approach this in a lot of different ways. So there are graphic organizers that would support that. And you see that that's appropriate for pretty much all the levels, right? Evaluating resources. This is a great one. I'm going to open this one up so you can see what this looks like because I love it. So look, I can put the name of my website or source, and then it guides students again through that list of criteria that we want them to think about. Authorship, who's responsible for this, and the bias that might be, accompany that. How current is it? And then they make a final decision. And you could think again about different ways that you could use this, could adapt this to also help students think critically about, AI output if they are using AI tools in their research process. So a lot of good possibilities here. The graphic organizers are really nice. And, when you come back, there's a lot there. So I won't, just for time purposes, I won't look at every single one that I love, but those are just a couple. And then I did also mention the pre-research planner. I'll pull that one up just because, why not? That's a perfect thing. Let me use here we go. How to use my ABC skills. Okay, the pre-research planner. So again, write down what you already know about your subject. Use Britannica School. So it's encouraging the use of Britannica's databases as a source. So that kind of bypasses that tendency that we mentioned earlier that students just want to go straight to Google or ChatGPT or whatever it may be. So this kind of embeds like another tool. Now use this tool to see what else you can learn about this, right? And then think of questions to research and trails to follow. So that idea of teaching students like, hey, this is going to open up like a can of worms for you, like find a direction and helping them, establish that need as part of their thinking process. So I hope that, you are finding some good resources. We've probably seen this, before. Molly and several others have done a great job of sharing the Britannica resources, but now start thinking about ways that it supports other things that we're doing or looking at it through a different lens.
Before you switch off that though, Kaye,
Yeah.
2 things I just learned. So the search bar actually now works. So like if you were searching for research, you can type in research.
Mm-hmm.
That's new. That was not there before, which I was excited to see. So now it should bring up. And if it's glitchy, I'm gonna tell him. It was being slow for me on my end, and yeah, there we go. So that's a big change. You used to have to do kind of what Kaye just did, which was be able to scroll down to find the thing, but they keep adding so many things that it was great to see this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. And I can't tell you how many times I would, like, animal research, for example, I would make all those templates myself. So
Yes,
it's really,
100%.
it's nice already there. So I love the search thing. And then if you hover over resources,
Hmm.
and then now do you see planes de clase? That is my attempt at
Uh-huh.
Espanol.
Yes.
Okay, so now
Yes.
they have several of these resources that have been translated into Spanish.
Yes, I had noticed that on some of the other ones when I was exploring them
Yeah.
before too.
So
That's
not all of
super.
them, but this is great and a good, again, if you're going to be talking about using something like Escular, it's
Hmm.
nice that it's in Spanish, but you can find some of these like graphic organizers that are already made in Spanish for you.
Yes. And one thing too that I really love about this tool, especially for our high school folks, is that it does expand right up into the university level. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for students that are college bound, students that these are skills that they're going to need whether they go to college or not. So I would definitely look at some of these university level resources with my high school students too, and then especially that would be perfectly in with if you have if you're an IB school or advanced level students, your AP students, letting them see like, hey, this is what we would expect to see or what you're going to be expected to see and how to function and work at the college level as well. So I love that they have included that too. And I definitely would include that in what I was doing with my high school students as well. Okay, so one thing, and we mentioned this a minute ago, what do you think students' first steps are when they're assigned a research task? So like they're given an assignment and it includes a research component. What is their first step? Someone mentioned Google a minute ago. Does anybody have any other thoughts like where your students are starting in this process?
I think now they're starting at ChatGPT.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right.
It used to
That's
be
what
Wikipedia, but now it's like personalized Wikipedia.
right. Most definitely. So here are just again, you know, and I feel like that's so important because as AI has become so much more prevalent in the way across the education landscape and the way we work and the way our students are working. We think about it used to be when students were their first step was Google. We had to talk about, well, here's what you have to think about and modeling for students and how to use smart information seeking practices. And so, what I hope that we're all recognizing is it doesn't matter the tool. AI is another tool for students to use. The thinking processes that go into how to use it well and effectively, they haven't changed, right? It's just still a matter of modeling what those smart uses look like. And that still comes back to for their when they are using things like Google, like what do those smart strategies, the smart search strategies that we talked about earlier, what does it look like? So, I've linked in here, used to, we talk to students a lot about Google's advanced search features, and I would still do that. This article that I've linked in here, 5 must-have Google search tips for students. This is from Common Sense Media. I love a lot of Common Sense Media's resources. They have great things that they share through their blogs, their curriculum. I really enjoy it. And they have so much that supports this standard as well. So I'm again, just for time purpose, I'm not going to open this up. But if you check this out, this is a great thing to share with students. This looks more like kind of an article, but it's a great thing to share with students to help them remember, hey, there's some key things that I need to be doing here, and still helping them see what those advanced search screens look like. That it's not just let me go to ChatGPT or the Google search bar and word vomit all the things that I'm thinking and end up with a question that's like 50 words long, more than what they will write in a constructed response that you ask them to do in a regular situation, to see what we can get. Like still walking them through. Here's what here's what a good search might look like, or let's talk about keywords. Um, Also, matching databases to meet specific needs. So again, showing students that there's a lot of different possibilities out there. Let's explore those together. I've linked here the connected resources in NCA Cloud. So if you have not logged in to that today, right? Because we know we don't always do that. You're welcome to follow along, but and see where I'm clicking. But if you want to get in and click around yourself, even better. I'm going to go here just to the connected resources for teachers, but we know if you wanted to start at any of the levels that you work in, you could, because that will give you, that view of what your students are seeing. But I'm just going to work here from our connected resources for teachers. So I'm going to open up Explora. We took a look at Teach Britannica, and Britannica School is great. Explora kind of is, that launch pad that's touching a lot of different databases at once. And that's one thing that we can help students to see. Let's see here. I'll go into high school this time. But again, you can go wherever you're looking for. And so one thing to look for here with the search, again, teaching students to use that advanced search feature to start, kind of weeding things out. Some students, when they're using databases, it looks very different. And so modeling for them, okay, here's exactly what we're looking for. Let's make sure we are limited it to full text, because I know we've all had that frustration where the very thing that you're looking for does not have full text. But also here where it says all databases, when we click on that, then we can help students see, okay, this is exactly what you're searching for. And which of these, maybe we take, deselect all. Which of these sounds like it does line up perfectly with what your information needs are? And so, just that step helps students recognize, okay, there is something that might be perfect for, my health sciences course. And we'll look at Health Source. I said that just because that's where my mouse happened to land. But, that's a good way to help them recognize that I have a need. I need to think smarter. I don't sound very smart about which database would meet that need, right? So that's just a couple of things that came to my mind when I was thinking about this part of the standard as well. Oops. Okay, and so now when we think about digital tools, and this is where, again, if you have some ideas of tools that you have used, strategies, any of those things, please add them to our Padlet. This would be a great time to do that right now as I show you a couple of things. One of the pieces of the standard is for students to recognize, okay, I'm working on this task. What tools are available for me to do what I need to do? And I wanted to point out just a couple to you. First, I know a lot of our districts are Google for Education districts, and so students they have access to so many robust tools. Just remembering the features that make Google applications so well loved, the collaborative nature of it that would make collaborative note taking possible. The ways that they have continued to adapt and grow and change, especially with some of the AI tools that are available within the Google Suite now. But one thing that I love that I wanted to share, do we have any people that love Google Keep? Do you use Google Keep much?
I do all the time. I hope some other people are or will be convinced.
Yes, I love Google Keep. And so one thing that I love about Google Keep that students could also do as like a note-taking resource during their research process, you can add the Keep Chrome extension on your device and take notes while you're interacting with a website or an online article, whatever that they might find. So if you click here, it will take you to where you can download the Keep Chrome extension. So I'm going to show you real quick. Let me find. I'm going to hop over. Is this what? Okay. Well, hey, here is a resource that Molly shared just the other day. I've been saving it. The Women in the Olympics. I've been saving it for
We're still
another
seeing
purpose.
databases. So if we're
Yeah.
there we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm gonna hop over. Okay. So let's say that this is a source that my students are using for, a research project, and so I can. I don't know if it's going to let me see. Oh yeah. So up here where I've got my little puzzle piece of my extensions that I've added, I can open up my Google Keep Chrome extension. And so when I do that, note what just happened on my screen. It's already got the link to this source that I'm working with, and it's given me a space that I can now start taking notes, right? So I can add, women are awesome in the Olympics, or whatever else I wanted to note related to my research. So I can take my notes directly here, and when I click create notes, it's going to send it directly to my Google Keep. I'm not going to click create note because then you'll see all my crazy Keep categories and things. But it'll take them there. So then, when they're ready to get back to it, they can just go to their Google waffle menu and go to Keep, and be able to see all of their notes. So when they open it up, then they'll see, okay, this was the source. Here are all my notes for that source. So that is a tool that, definitely very relevant, very easy for students to use. It's in a suite of tools that they're familiar with already, but it's probably one that they haven't thought of or interacted with very much yet. Also in Canva, another beloved free tool, I love the whiteboards because the whiteboards also offer you a lot of flexibility with collaboration, but could also be a great note-taking tool, like let's just slap in there the website or the resource that I'm working with for this project, and then I can add the sticky notes or, do any number of things in that whiteboard. And then they also have, docs, websites, a lot of different things that you can create there too. Book Creator, one of my favorite tools. We don't often think about Book Creator as a source, or a resource or tool that students can use to, work through the research process. But what I kind of compiled here for you, just to like give you a starting point, if you click here where it says templates, this opens a book of templates. I mean, I didn't do anything except just pull together various templates that are available in Book Creator. A lot of people think Book Creator, it's an elementary resource. I would use Book Creator, I mean, for any level, because it is so accessible. The translation features alone in Book Creator, I know this is not a Book Creator session, but I'm still going to tell you, it's just the translation features, very clean design, easy to use, so many different ways for students to interact. But the templates are all completely editable. And here are just a few examples of templates that I found in Book Creator's template library that are perfect for the Knowledge Constructor standard and helping students kind of work through, okay, what are my information needs? Where do I need to look? So here's a brainstorming template to get them started. They have KWHL charts. I love the inclusion of the H and how I'm going to find it. They've got note-taking templates. Here's a Cornell note-taking template. Citing my sources. There's a template for that. But I love this one. AI use and reflection rubric. So again, pointing students back to that ethical use of information, and reminding them to share how they're using all of their sources, even, AI. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So that was just a snippet to show you some of the possibilities there in Book Creator. And then again, we already looked at Teach Britannica, but I wanted to remind you, hey, it's back. And I've linked in some of those ones that we mentioned before, that I feel like, are just such a great support. So the pre-research planner and evaluated resources. And there's also a nice paraphrasing one, because that's an important skill too when we think about knowledge construction and looking at what others have said, putting it into my own words, because you have to be able to do that in order to make that next logical step of, making new meaning, creating things like that. Okay, so a couple of things that I wanted to share as well. A lot of people often comment, we're living in the information age, but could just as easily be said that we're living in the misinformation age. And, we've heard a lot of things, seen a lot of data that shows that misinformation spreads so much faster, right, than the actual fact checked, quality, credible information. And so an important part of this process, especially as students are, kind of waded in to the waters of, okay, here's all this information for this topic or this assignment that I need. Now I need to stop and start questioning, right? To make sure that this is good information before I continue to move forward. So, what I have shared with you here are just some of my favorites. But one is starting with the why and helping students understand this is why I'm asking you to evaluate your sources, right? And so we know that students need to see that to have that buy-in and to be willing to engage. So the News Literacy Project is such a great resource. I love it. And what I've linked in here, it's actually a quiz that you can take where students they see different headlines or stories and they have to determine, is this a good source? I want to open it up just so you kind of get an idea of the skills that students are using or that these are touching on. I love their quizzes. They're just so much fun. So this is the Newslit quiz. Is it legit? Vetting news sources for credibility. So I'm going to get started. We'll do a community quiz. This quiz is designed to help you spot signs of credibility as you consider why certain practices and standards make some news sources more trustworthy than others. And again, that's going to apply to what they're using as part of their research as well. So let's get started. This website includes articles with suspicious bylines. And so that, again, this would allow us to introduce that idea of what is a byline. And so here it's giving you, it's kind of a quiz that students can answer and move forward. And so all of the questions are kind of doing that similar thing, showing an example of a source and pointing students' attention to certain things to get them to, start to wonder and question what this is, or is this good? One of my favorites is the easiest quiz of all time. I don't know if you have done this quiz before, but this is one I would like us to look at together too. Is it going to let me? Okay. The easiest quiz of all time. This is fun. So while we take the quiz, there are no rules. It even tells students you can double check before you select your answer, and that's an important piece to this quiz. You can double check and verify before you choose your answer. So we're gonna start the quiz together. And Molly, I'm gonna count on you to kind of help me see or hear what people are saying as I click through the quiz.
Gotcha.
So here is it gonna? Okay. All right. Finish this iconic film quote. Blank. I am your father. What do we think is the correct answer? You can speak up or put your answer in the chat.
We're getting A and B.
A and B.
And Christy said she cheated and went ahead and is cackling over it.
How many are there more of? Do we have more? I'm going to tell you what.
We have a tie.
I said it. I clicked A. It's wrong. The answer is no, I am your father. We might have had some Star Wars. I started to say Star Trek, and then my husband would have literally somehow teleported here and murdered me on the spot. No, it is no, I am your father. Interesting. Don't believe us? Look it up. It's true. Okay, what about this? In the original animated Snow White, what famous phrase activates the Queen's mirror? Mirror, mirror on the wall, magic mirror on the wall, pretty mirror on the wall, my mirror on the wall.
We have a B so far.
A B. Mm-hmm. Any other answers? I think everybody has pretty much figured out. I think this is going to be one of those things where all the things that I think is right is actually wrong.
Yep. Okay, now we have two Bs. Go with it.
Okay, two Bs, you said?
Yep.
That is correct. When I first did this quiz, I put A because I thought it was mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? But it's
Interesting that
actually
it says,
magic.
it even says in there, like it says the phrase is remembered with, so it's like acknowledging that we have a collective mismemory.
Yes, yes, indeed. Okay, what about what accessory does the Monopoly mascot Rich Uncle Pennybags wear? Is it sunglasses, a pocket watch, a monocle, or none of the above?
We have a B.
We have a B, a pocket watch.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Nope. However, it's none of the above. He does have a top hat, a mustache, and a cane. For me, I was seeing a monocle.
Yeah, me
I answered
too. Me
monocle.
too.
I thought that he had that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go through the whole quiz just for time's sake, but I love this because it specifically told us in the directions you can check the source before you answer. And I think this is a perfect example. I mean, to help us, but also our students understand how there's so much that is working in our brains that shapes our understanding that that helps us develop our own personal bias or thinking, and we don't even realize it, right? I like have 46 years of experiences that shaped my answers to those questions, and they were all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not take the time to go and double check, fact check before I was so sure I knew what it was. And that's a perfect example of an activity to do with students to prove that point. There's a lot at work already shaping your understanding that you don't even realize. Fact check, fact check, fact check. Stop, no matter what it is, do that lateral reading, do whatever it is that you need to do to help you make sure that, we're getting all the things that we need. So those are just a couple of fun things I wanted to share with you. Some of these, and again, I'm